Introducing the Diamond Factor Network, where we turn your business into a beacon of success. Imagine having your TV streaming show reaching audiences far and wide. It's possible with the Diamond Factor Network. Unlock the power of your brand with our state-of-the-art TV streaming platform. Your show, your way. Feature highlights, customized shows, global reach, and professional support. Coaching by Barbara J. Beckley, Purpose, Visibility, and Social Media Strategist. Ready to elevate your brand? Join the Diamond Factor Network today and let your brilliance light up the world. Shine bright because your success is our priority.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And yes, you are at the right spot if you see the Coaches Lounge with yours truly, Barbara J. Beckley. This is a wonderful platform that I spotlight experts' advice for life and business through coaching, consulting, or even just forever learning. But just to add a little caveat to that, that's helping others with their goals, their objectives, their dreams. You know, I always tell people I never really seen a platform where they don't give the love and give those coaches what they need. They are a lighthouse to so many other people in the world because they're helping people shine their light in their lives. And, you know, I just think about like, okay, we got to give them some hearts. We got to give them some flowers. What's going on here? Why are we not noticing that these people are really helping us? I mean, I have 2 coaches. I know every person should have a coach, 1 or 2. I mean, I always say Oprah Winfrey has coaches. Okay, so that's going to exclude us? Because, you know, no. We all need in that capacity. We don't know everything. And we're all trying to grow in the areas that we need to grow, right? So I always tell people, always find somebody that can help you get to that next, to rise you up, right? And I love to bring them on. So that's what I said I'll do. I said, let me birth this show so we can get you to understanding all different type of coaches. I got all coaches coming on because I want you to know you learn about them. You see a little bit of piece of how they coach. And then at that point, you think to yourself, I might have to reach out to that person. That might be somebody I really need in a certain sector in my life to get me going right there. Or maybe you're doing well and you want to even get better. So it's not always trying to fix you up, you know, it's mostly just keep going with the process. So with that said, as when I have women come on, they're the queens. Yes, they're the queens. And I have a wonderful, amazing queen. I've been waiting to interview her for a while. And it's mostly my fault. So I have to blame it on me with scheduling. But I have her now. She's a Miss Celebrity in my eyes. Her name is Naya Kitchen. And she basically is a sole private practice and helps people face with challenges related to grief, trauma, relationships, and chronic illness move from a state of despair to hope through mental health therapy, consulting, and coaching. Now, how many of you have been through any kind of trauma? Okay. Now, I don't think anybody in this world has not been to some kind of trauma. Well, this lady with, you know, that health, that mental health, very important, very real. She helps you in that capacity. So let's bring on this queen. Let's get to know her a little bit. She's going to give us just a little insight of what she does for her clients. And then you have to ask the question, do I want to work with this queen? And I know you're going to say yes. So with that said, we will be right back with this wonderful queen. Barbara J. Beckley, and I'm a visibility and social media strategist. There she is. And we're kind of like matching. I almost feel like we're sisters here with the colors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, ladies. So first of all, before we even start, thank you. I humble myself for you coming on the Coaches Lounge. You know, I always say you're taking the time out to come on this show to really just give your expertise just a little bit, because you got to sign up with her if you want the rest, just to let you know. But just to really just understand who she is, what she's doing for so many people, and why she's just a queen, just a queen in this world. So, Miss Naya.
Yes, I am very, very glad to be here with Miss Barbara Beckley, Queen Beckley. Yes, it's just a wonderful experience, and I am going to be sharing tonight a little bit about my background, what inspired me to do what I'm doing today.
Yes, yes.
Back
I always tell people to, before you start, Queen, I always tell people it's so nice to get the backstory of people. So then you understand why they had the passion and the desire and the purpose of what they do, even in their business or personal life. So this woman, I'm telling you, want to hear this backstory, because then you'll understand the connection of why she helps people in this area. So you go, Queen.
Yes, yes. One of the things that I encountered in the early 2000s is breast cancer. And with breast cancer, I went through a lot of adjustments. I went from feeling that I wasn't going to live to feeling in control and responsible for taking care of myself. And of course, in the process of doing that, I experienced other people who were going through the same thing. Some of them made it and some of them didn't. And it dawned on me that a lot of people are having challenges with chronic illnesses or facing what may become a terminal illness, primarily due to fear. And that fear alone caused them to not be able to make the adjustments and sometimes give up, before they even get started with their treatments. And with that in mind, as a 24-year survivor, I decided that I needed to put more emphasis in just helping people adjust to chronic illnesses and also assisting them in not only adjusting, but looking at ways that they can be successful in not only following through with their treatments, but also continuing with their lives. With a chronic illness, you're going to have other issues that come up. There may be relationship problems. You may be dealing with depression. You may have financial problems. And just a number of things can interplay. So as a coach, therapist, social worker, I look at providing services that I know will make an impact in helping the person go from feeling stuck to unstuck and from feeling unstuck to courageous. And in a lot of instances, going on to become survivors and thriving, very well in their lives.
Oh my God. See, I told people, when you hear the person's backstory, you understand that passion. I can hear it in you, Queen. I can hear it in you. And first of all, I just have to tell you, thank you for being such, because I know a lot of people that, basically had cancer, breast cancer, and I had cancer myself. It wasn't breast cancer, it was uterus cancer, but, same kind of journey in a sense of, like you said, all of the ups and flows that you go through when you're dealing with that. And 24 years, Queen.
Yes.
Survivor. See, I don't like, okay, don't get me wrong. I know everybody uses survivor, but you know what the word I like? Conqueror.
Conqueror, yes.
Like you're a conqueror in that 24 years. Come on now. I mean, if no one's not listening to you about dealing with the, the journey of it and really understanding how you can still live a life with what you go through, because it's not you. I always tell people that disease is not you. You're yourself. The disease is just there because it's a condition that came in, but that is, your name is not cancer. See, I always tell people that. So I'm glad that you're working with people in that area.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've seen over time is that not only do people come with a chronic illness as a diagnosis, but they also come with emotional problems. They come with mindsets that are basically defeating, and they come with just needing concrete services. So in working with them, not only am I focusing on their emotional or mental needs, but I look at their social needs and assist with just basic services like transportation or helping them get short-term disability or apply for long-term disability. And also in some instances, helping with medical equipment and those kind of things. So it's definitely something that requires just sitting down, talking with clients, finding out what their issues are, without making any assumptions, because everyone deals with illnesses, in a different way. So one of my first things is to sit down and get a thorough assessment. Once I've done that thorough assessment, then I look at some concrete things that the person is requesting assistance with.
Yes.
And I look at ways I can meet those needs. If it's depression, I work mainly with the mind, looking at how we can reframe what the client is going through so that they can look at it in a more hopeful perspective. And by looking at it that way, they're more likely to take the necessary steps in order to start seeing some progress. Yes. And in some instances, when you're newly diagnosed with an illness, there's a knowledge deficit. So in those kind of situations, I not only impart information from a social worker or coach's perspective, but I include other disciplines. In some cases, the patient has to talk to the doctor to get certain medical information about the diagnosis and the prognosis. And not only that, but what their specific role is in the treatment process. And I always impart the fact that you are the patient. You have a voice. Make sure that you are asking questions. Make sure you understand. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take someone with you so that if there's something that you forget, they'll be able to intervene and help you remember.
That is so, just to put a pin on that, Queen, that is so important because I know it's been 13 years now, my mother passed, and I had to be her advocate. I had to be her middle person when she went to the doctor, when she had anywhere that she had to do Medicaid, with her medical records or anything. And that is so important to have that particular person. Like if you don't have a family member, I'm glad that you have that kind of outlet for people because some people don't have people in their lives that are there for them to be that middle person to say, okay, I want to explain to you what's going on here. I want to explain what the doctor said, or I want to explain why they want you to do this, in this area for trauma or what have you. So I'm so glad that that's a good service that you have as well.
Yes, absolutely. And in terms of the trauma part, oftentimes when we are dealing with certain chronic illnesses, we see that there is a pattern in the family. There may be a genetic component. And in some cases, it may be a situation where the client has already lost a loved one and probably witnessed the person go through a lot of agony. So they will come with the mindset of feeling as though they're not going to make it, because their maybe mom didn't make it or auntie didn't make it. Mainly here again, because the person may not have been seen early enough to be successful with the treatment. Or if we're looking at 15 or 20 years ago, when the medical technology was not as sophisticated as today, that could have been another factor. So one of the things I like to do is try to help the client separate their situation from what happened to another family member. So that whatever happened to that family member would not be a barrier in terms of, their healing. So we work a lot with mindsets.
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just agreeing with you. That is so important because people will have a tendency of, putting themselves in other people's, places, what they dealt with. And they have to understand that that was a different era. Even like you said, something that happened like 10 years ago, there's been things between now and then that's been progressing,
Mm-hmm.
And you're still looking at that mindset back then, but no, you have to separate that because now we're here and there might be some other things you can do. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. So Queen, I want to ask you too, when stuff like trauma, like you said, and the chronic illness that you deal with and, challenges, because that's a challenge, depression, you mentioned some of that. When it comes to work-life balance, because you have to you're dealing with the condition or the medical part of it or the mental part, but then you have an other side of your life. How do you kind of navigate with people in that sense?
Okay. One of the things that I do is work with clients under the employee assistance programs. I get referrals from some of the larger companies, and oftentimes they present with difficulty functioning at work. They may not be able to perform their job duties as effectively as they once were able to, or there may be some conflicts with, some of the staff, or there may be problems at home, that are interfering with their work life. So one of the things that I do is sit down and talk with them about what they perceive as the problems. And then we look at some of the things that can be done to address the problems. And oftentimes that may consist of going through the chain of command on their jobs, working with human resources, voicing whatever their complaints may be, and using the human resources program as a support. Also, sitting down talking to the supervisor about some of the real issues that they may be having. And that's usually done because what we don't want them to internalize, and that is they just are not able to do the work. You are able to do the work, but we just need to look at some ways that you can move beyond where you are now. We may be doing some psychoeducation, teaching them coping skills. We may be doing things like requesting that they be absent for a while so that they can regroup, particularly in instances where there may be a death in the family and they're dealing with grief. Or if there is a family member who's ill and they have to be out, we recommend that they take medical leave. And usually if they're out for a while and they're able to do the necessary work so that they'll be able to return to work, that usually works out very well.
Yeah, I love how you like you said with having it's like a little team. You have your, like you said, your manager, then you have HR, and then you have you as a service to help get through that process with them. My thing I was going to ask you, do you see sometimes, because I know I heard this where people say, well, I don't want to tell my manager, my supervisor that I'm really dealing with it, because they might think, okay, now they find ways to say, well, she can't do her job or he can't do her job because now she's dealing with this or this or this. And they don't understand the full, they're just looking at, okay, I need them to do a job and now they're telling me something. So would you say, or seeing that maybe most people just need to go to HR and talk about certain things a little bit more personal?
Well, sometimes it's appropriate to go to HR and just leave it there. But in cases where you're dealing with a lot of emotional challenges, it's very helpful to be able to, connect with the coach, connect with a therapist, so that those emotional things can be addressed. If it's a situation, let's say if you're just having a problem with the supervisor and your job performance is not impacted, then maybe going to HR, is a good option. Yes. When we see people, usually they're having difficulty sleeping, they're having difficulty concentrating at work, they're having difficulty in their interpersonal relationships. And also in some instances, when we do an assessment, we see that there's been a history of some mental health issues as well. So that's when it becomes necessary to see a coach or to see someone like myself.
Yeah, just like you said, someone like you. I'm going to put it out there. They need to see this. You see, with all this information. You're the expert of it. And what I love what you said too is that, and that's why I brought up the thing about the supervisor, because I know a lot of people, the first thing they don't want to do is go to their supervisor. I mean, I hear it all the time. But they'll go to HR because HR is supposed to be fair, right? And they're supposed to have those outlets for you, or they can send you like you said, like to a company like yourself, to talk about that. And the thing about that is I tell people, I said, you have to think about you first. I mean, I understand you're on your job or your business, could be your job, your own business, but you can't I always tell them, think about this. You're not going to be able to move forward in anything if you're dealing with trauma, the illness that's taking place, and then you're depressed. How are you moving forward? And you have this right here that you have to do with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things about the work-life balance, we never know what kind of cases we're going to get involved in. I've had quite a few cases where parents have come for counseling because their child has been murdered, or they may have the sudden death of a spouse or a child. And there may be situations where there's a death due to suicide. So it can get very, very involved and detailed in terms of the kind of work you have to do. And just to say something too about protection of employees, there is what we call the Americans with Disabilities Act. And that means that if you're having something going on that's preventing you from working, you can't lose your job if you can prove that you actually have something going on that's hindering you from doing your work. The employer is supposed to try to work with you so that those issues, can be minimized or removed to a point where you can come back and function well at work.
Yeah. Now, does that also goes into, because I know some people, it could be, let's just say they're in that depressed mode. Like it's a mental issue of it. Can that be used as like a person that, might have to take off or go under, disability? Can that be used in that capacity?
They are also covered under those kind of rules. But usually what happens in a lot of instances, particularly if you're working with the larger companies, the employee will go out on short-term disability. And if the situation isn't recovered within that period of time, then we may look at long-term disability, just depending on what the benefits are. And whenever you are looking at long-term disability, it may last for maybe 3 or 4 months. And when that's depleted, then you can look at FMLA.
Okay.
Yes, you can look at FMLA.
Yeah, that I'm glad that they put those types of programs for us. I mean, the benefits, I want to say, for us, because mental health, I keep telling people, is real. And just a few years ago, and I know this, Queen, for dealing where what you're dealing with now in your business, is that they didn't look, they would be like, oh, you can deal with it, or you're okay, you should be able to still work and do whatever. They looked at it as not like that important. Now with the suicides and people, it gets into the other health problems in their bodies, and it could take over. I'm so glad they look at it more serious.
Yes.
Very important. Very important. So this is, I just love bringing the queens on. See, we got to learn some about you, and I see where your passion is coming at, and because you're helping so many others. And I've learned so much right now because, like I said, when you were talking, I was thinking about, I got to tell this person about her. I got to tell this person to go to Naya because they're dealing with some depression. Things. So, and I know everybody that's listening, you have a few people in your life that that are dealing with that and need that, that service. So I want you to do me a favor. I want to go down for 30 seconds. And I want you to give any lasting thoughts that you want to leave the audience regarding, what you do, because I know you have some more golden nuggets. So I'm going to be down for a second. I'll come up and then we'll wrap it up from there.
Okay. One of the things that I want to iterate, and that is we need to practice prevention more. Oftentimes, we are not engaging in self-care. And when we don't do that, we are at a greater risk of having some type of emotional problem or adjustment issue. So that's the first thing I want to suggest. Always engage in self-care, which is the things you do to basically take care of yourself. Sometimes that may mean taking a vacation, or it may mean making sure you get adequate rest, or it may mean making sure that you're not overpowering yourself with so many responsibilities until you can't relax. You want to make sure that you're getting your physical exams. And if you are having any family problem or relationship issue, make sure that you are being proactive and you are addressing those things rather than just let them go rampant. Because when that happens, you are setting yourself up to have more serious emotional problems, adjustment problems. And of course, that can spill over to every area of your life. It can show up in your relationships. It can show up at work. And it can even show up in your body. You can feel anxiety, you can have headaches, you can have indigestion. So we want to be very, very proactive in making sure that we're staying on top of everything we need to do to remain healthy, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Well put, Queen. Well put. That's a mic drop. That's completely mic drop. Queen, thank you so much for coming on the Coaches Lounge and just sharing your like I said, your wisdom and your expertise. And I know a lot of people that was listening, I know for a fact that when they're listening to your interview, they're going to see that there's either themselves or somebody that needs this service. So thank you for really being detailed. I mean, that was brilliant what you were telling us about that, because some people don't know. We really, when you don't know, you don't know. But when you get the awareness, I always tell people, now that you know, go to the resources that's there and let them work out for you. So with that, lady, I just want to say thank you. You're always welcome back to the Coaches Lounge. And I want to tell everybody out there too, if you're interested in coming on the show, if you're a coach, a consultant, or educator, just kind of ping me on Facebook and we'll get you on the calendar. And you'll just be like this Queen here, that we will spotlight you because we appreciate what you do for the world, as this Queen does. She is, as I always say, everybody, you are a lighthouse to the world.
Thank you.
Many people.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you again at the Coaches Lounge.
All righty.